Couch Devotionals with Pastor Scott. Hello and welcome to another Couch Devotional with Pastor Scott. Today we are going to be looking at Exodus chapter 3 verses 1 through 14. So let's get right to it. Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian. He led his flock beyond the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of a bush. He looked, and the bush was blazing, yet it was not consumed. Then Moses said, I must turn aside and look at this great sight and see why the bush is not burned up. When the Lord saw that he had turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush, Moses, Moses! And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Come no closer. Remove the sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. He said further, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord said, I have observed the misery of my people who are in Egypt. I have heard their cry on account of their taskmasters. Indeed, I know their sufferings. And I have come down to deliver them from the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey, to the country of the Canaanites and the Hittites, the Amorites and the Perizzites, the Hivites and the Jebusites. The cry of the Israelites has now come to me. I have also seen how the Egyptians oppress them. So come, I will send you to Pharaoh, to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, Who am I that I should go out to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? He said, I will be with you, and this shall be the sign for you that it is I who sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall worship God on this mountain. But Moses said to God, If I come to the Israelites and say to them, The God of your ancestors has sent me to you, and they ask me, What is his name? What shall I say to them? God said to Moses, I am who I am. He said further, Thus you shall say to the Israelites, I am has sent me to you. Our scripture today for our devotional can be taken in many different ways. Perhaps you've heard it talked about with thin places and places of connection, that this burning bush was a representation of that thin place. Today, I want to talk about the specific challenge that God is laying before Moses, this calling that God is giving to Moses, and the ways in which Moses is going to be so active in bringing this about. Before we get fully into that, though, I want to talk about another saint of the church, a person of great significance within church history, Julian of Norwich. Julian of Norwich was, for all accounts, can be thought of as a monk. She lived a life of seclusion and purposeful seclusion. She basically kind of barred herself off from the world. She wrote, she studied scripture, she did devotionals, and she also lived through this very unique time within the history of Europe. She lived through the Black Plague and all the devastation that happened with that. She saw wars and she saw all this hurt and pain in the world. And within all of this, though, she wrote within this book that she wrote, she speaks about this assurance that she has, and she writes within this book, all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. And in this section, Julian of Norwich kind of concludes that things will be well, but we are active in making them well. That when we see the oppression of our brother or sister, when we see a need that we could be helping with, we are all tied together within this world. And if I am going to be well, then my brother or sister needs to be well. And that we need to come together in order for that to happen. This is what God is asking of Moses in this section of Scripture, to rescue the Israelite people out of Egypt, to bring them into a place flowing with milk and honey so that all shall be well, to reunite God's chosen people and God's creation together once again. So what is God calling you to do? How is God calling you to be active in this unification? How is God calling you to be a messenger or a worker? How is God calling you to make this happen? This is our question for the day. As always, I'll see you tomorrow for more Couch Devotionals with Pastor Scott. See you then. Couch Devotionals with Pastor Scott.